friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Video 778. Tighten that neighborhood, my brothers and sisters. The channel that we going back to today, I've said it before, now I'll say it again. I'm just happy that I found this channel, Being Team. Long story short, short story freaking long. And that channel that I'm talking about is Ryan from Tragedy Tales. Back to Tragedy Tales, Being Team. And the title of the video is Elevator Error. 5 clips before horror. Number 22. Now I'm just wondering what the hell is this error on this elevator, Being Team? Did it get stuck? Did it end up falling all the way down the elevator shaft? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's about to be crazy. But before we see, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. We are back to Ryan from Tragedy Tales. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you've come close to death? That near miss on the motorway, that chunk of steak that nearly got lodged in your throat, or that sketchy DIY job that you probably shouldn't have attempted. Any one of them could have been the end of you. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that in life, all it takes is one single mistake. Find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time, and suddenly, it's all over. If by chance that there's a camera recording, your final moments may just end up frozen in time, you might find yourself in a clip captured right before horror. But hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Ryan from Tragedy Tales, and over here we cover all things tragic. In this week's video, we're going to break down 5 more seemingly normal clips that turned into a nightmare within seconds. From a terrifying elevator mishap in Indonesia to a terribly tragic fire in Turkey. This week, as you guys are all accustomed to, we've got clips from all across the world, reminding you that every day could very well be your last. So strap in and draw the curtains, and let's get right into it.
Get whatever you may need. Number 5.
First up is a case that I'm sure many of us have had nightmares about. The kind that you wake up in a cold sweat, relieved that it isn't real. But in this case, it was very real and very, very horrifying. This haunting entry begins on the 27th of April 2023 at the Kuala Namu International Airport in Indonesia. Thousands funneled into the entrance for what was supposed to be a normal flight to wherever they were going. Workers arrived for their shifts, and the day began just like any other. As usual in these kind of stories, nothing was out of the ordinary until 2 workers noticed a strange but foul smell coming from inside one of the elevators. Upon inspection, it was clear that the smell was coming from beneath the elevator. As they got closer to the smell, it became truly unbearable. Workers opened one of the elevator doors, and when their eyes focused, they finally saw a crumpled up body lying beneath them. They realized that what they were smelling was a decomposing body, they were smelling the unmistakable smell of death. After realizing what they had discovered, workers backed off and called the police and ambulances to the scene. Police officers and ambulance crews filled the section of the airport, all looking like they were in a panic. They too were shocked at what they had discovered.
And I'm just wondering, how did this freaking happen without anybody knowing? You know what I'm saying? Because if this body is to the point where it's decomposing and it's starting to smell, that means that this person died days ago and nobody knew it. So what really happened?
Inside lay the decomposing body of a woman who died days ago, identified as 38-year-old Asaya Sintadui. The very first thing officials did was check the CCTV footage from within the lift over the last few days, and eventually they realized what had happened. Upon checking the CCTV, they spotted Asaya calmly entering the lift 3 days previously. The CCTV shows her entering and taking the lift to the second floor. She was on her way up to meet her niece at the check-in area of the airport. As the lift reached her destination, she then appeared to be confused. The lift had stopped at what she thought was her floor, but the doors had not opened. Unaware that they were already open, Asaya began frantically pressing buttons, believing that she was stuck in the lift. The lift doors continuously opened and closed behind her, but somehow she just didn't notice. Instead, she spiraled into a complete panic. She called her niece, who was waiting at the airport, to tell her that she was stuck in the lift. Thinking that the doors had simply jammed, all while on the phone to her niece, she begins to pry the doors open. All on CCTV, as she pried her fingers between the metal doors, they gave little resistance and quickly swung open. However, there was no floor behind, no freedom. Instead, beyond the doors was an exposed, open space that was used for maintenance workers. As the doors swung open, Asaya tumbled forward straight into the void and fell 3 stories to a recess space below the elevator. This space allowed her to fall inside and allowed the lift to continue to function without crushing her. Her cause of death could not be determined, meaning there's a chance that she didn't die from the fall. It's quite possible that she was trapped down there for hours, unable to shout for help until she succumbed to her injuries. Absolutely horrifying.
And I think that's the worst part about it, Bean Team. If she didn't die as soon as she fell, if she was down there in this dark place, you know, she got bodily injuries from the fall, she's stuck, can't move, in hours going by, she may have been alive for a day or two. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? That's just a horrible way to go out, suffering like that. With nobody, you can holler and scream and all that, and we don't even know if she was able to do all that. But regardless of if she could or not, nobody was gonna hear her. That's a terrible way to go, man. It's almost the equivalent to somebody who, and we have heard plenty of stories of people who get stuck in caves and can't get out. It's kind of like that. Or the Mr. Ballin stories with people who get stuck in chimneys and can't get out.
When Asaya failed to show up, her family contacted airport staff and told them that she had fallen down the elevator shaft because she said that she was trapped on the phone. Airport officials replied to them and said that no one was actively monitoring the CCTV camera from within the elevator and that the family would not be allowed to check any of the footage for procedural reasons. When they asked to check the elevator shaft instead, the airport again refused. Ridiculous. It's totally possible that if they checked the shaft when requested, she may well still have been alive and been able to be rescued. A 3-story fall is no joke, but it's survivable. Instead, the airport refused and left her to rot in there for 3 days. Nobody could believe that such a large airport could have safety issues like this. Why was there such a big gap behind the doors? I don't know if that's standard, but it seems a bit crazy that you can just pry open the doors with little effort and fall 3 stories. Shortly after the gruesome discovery was made, Asaya's husband, Ahmed, raised 6 reports against 6 companies, accusing negligence causing death. He filed a police report against 2 Indonesian-owned companies which helped manage the airport, as well as GMR Airports Consortium, in the hopes that his beloved wife's death was not in vain and it does not repeat itself again. Now, this is just one of those cases that you have to look at twice, because it's just so crazy from all angles. The CCTV footage showing the doors opening behind her back is shocking. If she'd just turned around instead of attempting to pry the doors open, she would most likely still be with us today.
Yes. Yeah, that's a crazy one, y'all. But that's some BS at the end. Seriously, the fact that the family told them, like, hey, the last place that we heard from her, she was in this elevator. She said she was stuck. Can we check out the elevator? And they just denied it. Didn't even have the audacity or the respect of the family wishes. That's what I should say. Just to at least watch the CCTV footage. You know what I'm saying? If they would have caught it that day, maybe she would have survived. Like I said, she had some major injuries more than likely. You know, maybe some broken bones here and there. But I just think that lady was down in that damn elevator shaft with nobody to call out to and just suffered for the last couple of hours of her life. And I feel like it could have been prevented. Let's go, y'all, to number 4. Number 4.
Your wedding anniversary is supposed to be a joyous event, celebrating the partnership of two people, the years that they've weathered together, and the love that's still standing. But for some people, that date brings something else entirely. Grief, betrayal, and in this case, a shocking, unpredictable tragedy. With that in mind, this case unfolds in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, in the Bareilly district on the 2nd of April 2025. That day, it was a very special day. It was the 25th wedding anniversary for 50-year-old Wasim Sarwat and his wife, Farah. The pair wanted to make their silver jubilee as grand as it possibly could be, so they invited each and every member of their family to the Farham Lawns, a luxury hotel in the city situated along the Pilbit Bypass Road. The evening was meant to be unforgettable. Dancing, a vow renewal, the ceremonial cake cutting, and a night of partying to follow. Sadly, that night would prove to be unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. As the party was in full swing, everything was great. Drinks were flowing, music was blasting, and everyone was having the time of their lives. All captured on video. 50-year-old Wasim, who worked as a shoe merchant, can be seen dancing on stage with his wife. He's smiling, so is she. They're just dancing their heart out as the entire family watched. The clip goes on, and you can see the couple having a blast, having the time of their lives, enjoying their silver jubilee. They're having fun until all of a sudden, Wasim collapsed on stage.
Oh!
Countless members of the family rushed to his aid to discover him unconscious. Upon check-in, his heart had stopped beating. He'd gone into cardiac arrest. They immediately started CPR while paramedics were called, but it just wasn't looking good.
What the hell, y'all? You see how things can go from just seeming so great to just so bad, so worse than what it was seeming like. This dude was literally up there dancing, having the time of his life. He just got married. He enjoyed his newlywed and his family and friends. And at the snap of a freaking second, fall to the ground, unconscious, cardiac arrest. Like, it just make you think what seeing stuff like that and just understanding how life feels. Why don't we should not think like that too, that it can happen to us? It can happen to anybody, Bean Team. You can feel like you the most healthiest mother on earth, and just like that, it all can change.
First responders rushed him to a private hospital nearby where they tried their very best to restart his heart, but unfortunately they were unsuccessful and he was pronounced dead at the hospital. A senior heart doctor reviewed his case and said that Wasim died from a heart attack, most likely caused by an undiagnosed heart condition. A day that was supposed to be full of joy had turned into one of tragedy. The couple had planned to cut the cake together after the dance, but sadly, they never got the chance to. The video of the pair dancing was shared widely on social media. One user commented that it was very sad that it occurred, but noted that very, very few people get to go out this way. Happy, smiling, doing what you love with the person that you love, surrounded by your family. And that's very true. His family later laid him to rest near to where he was born. He's survived by his beloved wife Farah, as well as their 2 sons. This one is just one of those cases where, if you actually think about the odds of this happening, it's truly crazy. Sometimes I think destiny and fate are real, because seriously, what are the chances? Of all days, to have a heart attack in that exact moment, it does make you think.
Man, that kind of go to what I was saying a couple of days ago from video we was watching, man. When it's your time to go, it just seems like sometimes it's just your time to freaking go. Like the way that dude just died right then. And I also understand what one person was saying about, you know what I'm saying, at least he died. If you're trying to look at the bright side, like we try to do, being team, at least he did die in the presence of his family and friends. He was dancing, he was with his newlywed, he was having fun, and he was enjoying himself. But at the same time, that would make it even more sad for me, man, that the dude having all that fun and then it's just gone like that. And then just think about, even from his wife and his family and friends perspective, they having fun and all that. And then it just turned to my son, my husband, my brother, you know what I'm saying? My cousin, my friend, my whoever just died like that. Oh my God. That was crazy too, y'all. Let's go to number 3. Number 3.
Our next haunting clip was recorded in Novi Sad, a city located in northern Serbia. Renowned for its vibrant art scene, its educational institutions, and events like the Exit Music Festival, Novi Sad was also home to a unique but odd building, the Novi Sad railway station. Located in the western part of the city, not far from the city centre, the Novi Sad railway station stood as a hub for travel for the local area. Averaging more than 9,300 passengers daily, it connected local and international routes, including the Budapest-Belgrade corridor. First constructed in 1964, the railway station was structurally advanced for its period. Its design was bold and unusual, and amongst other unique features, its main drawing point was the eye-catching roof that extended to a canopy over the main entrance. This canopy measured 157 feet long, or around 48 meters, and was built entirely out of concrete slabs laid on top of each other. Due to its intrinsic design, with the canopy suspended over the building's entrance, this structure was prone to concrete degradation as well as overall fatigue. Multiple experts suggested a service life of just 50 years for either the canopy or the materials that were used building it. Despite these worries, the station held strong for 57 years, well past its suggested lifespan. While it was still standing, it had been truly neglected over the years and had no proper maintenance conducted while it was in use. By the early 2000s, it had fallen into disrepair, yet it stood firm, continuing to serve the city.
Boy, this ish right here is just an accident waiting to freaking happen. Like, seriously, man, y'all ain't having no maintenance on this ish, but y'all continuing to use this ish. You know something bad gonna happen.
In 2021, its first major renovation project began. This renovation project completely rebuilt the railway platforms, including the platform's underpass and apparently the canopy. Fast forward to November the 1st, 2024, the newly renovated train station was now in full use. Trains were on schedule and hundreds of people flooded in and out of the station. It was just another day in Novi Sad. Then, at exactly 11:52 a.m., tragedy struck with brutal force. As people were coming and going inside the train station, all of a sudden, the then 60-year-old concrete canopy collapsed without warning. Eyewitnesses described a thunderous crack, then a low, crushing roar as the 148 feet slab pancaked onto the plaza below. Dust and crushed cement clouded the air, choking out visibility. When the dust settled, the scale of the devastation truly became clear. The thick concrete canopy fell with such force that no one underneath it had any chance to escape. Just moments earlier, people had been walking through the entrance. Now the entire area was buried beneath thousands of kilograms of shattered debris and twisted steel rebar.
Man.
A total, full-scale horror unfolded as everyone realized that this was seriously bad. Those nearby attempted to grab and pull up the concrete, but it was no use. The concrete was so heavy, they could do basically nothing.
Like, seriously, man, I hate to say it, but I think, man, anybody up under that concrete, anybody up under that they dead, man. And I think they died on impact. Like, that ish is so freaking heavy. We talking about thousands upon thousands of pounds of concrete right there that we see that fell from this freaking building.
About 80 rescuers from multiple cities across Serbia rushed to the scene and cordoned off the platform. Firefighters, medics, and police officers scrambled over the rubble, desperately searching for signs of life. While some had been instantly killed in the collapse, screams could be heard coming from deep inside. Dogs were brought in, cranes and excavators followed, slowly peeling away layers of the fallen structure. 2 women, trapped beneath the weight of the concrete, could not be pulled out for hours. When they finally were retrieved, they were both barely alive. By the end of the day, 14 people were dead and 3 others were injured. All 3 of the injured were forced to undergo amputations to save their lives and were in serious critical condition. One of the women who survived being trapped under the rubble sadly succumbed to her injuries 16 days later, and months later, on March the 21st, 2025, another of the 3 died, a 19-year-old man, bringing the death toll to 16. Of course, all public rail traffic for Novi Sad was moved to alternate stations, and the building was closed for the foreseeable future. Citizens...
For the foreseeable future, man, we need to close this ish down for good. Like, seriously. And then it's pretty much, I mean, it was nice to know that 3 people out of the 17 had survived, but then 2 of them ended up dying. So now we at 16 out of the 17 who done died being teens. So I guess, hey, like I said, man, we try to look at the bright side a little bit. I was wrong. I was thinking everybody up under there who had died, but at least 1 survived. If that make us feel any better, it really don't make me feel no better, but I am happy that person survived. Y'all get what I'm saying.
Lit candles and laid flowers at Freedom Square and in front of the railway station. They just couldn't believe that a newly renovated building could collapse so suddenly, so shortly after completion. Well, they were right to not believe it. Because it turns out, after the renovation was complete, Serbian Railways Infrastructure, the state enterprise which operates the building, stated that the front entrance canopy was not reconstructed during the renovations and that it remained an original part of the structure. They said that the canopy was considered a protected architectural element tied to the building's original 1964 design, restricting what changes could be made to the structure as it was deemed historically or culturally significant. Well, it is now. Instead of structural reinforcement, or maybe a replacement, the canopy received what authorities described as a conservation treatment. All that was basically was an aesthetic cleaning and surface work, but no actual strengthening of the underlying materials. This was absolutely crazy, given that multiple experts only gave it a 50-year lifespan almost 60 years previously, and still, they didn't bother to renovate it at all, leaving it to collapse and take the lives of 16 innocent people.
Yeah, I just gotta call out the bullshit on that too. Are you freaking kidding me? Y'all didn't repair or update or renovate this particular part of the freaking structure because of its legendary or antique value or whatever. You know what I'm saying, man? If you want to help preserve the freaking value of this ish, how about we freaking put some some of this renovation that we doing towards that, reinforce it, make it stronger. Like, I don't even understand the logical reason why they would do that, especially when Ryan just said that the expectancy for this particular part is like 50 years. Y'all already got away with over 50 years of this issue, and you still push past that? What did you think was gonna happen eventually?
The man that was ultimately responsible for making this decision was Serbian President Milos Vukovic and Construction Minister Goran Vesic. While no reinforcement was done on the canopy, glass was added in the most recent renovation, despite it being far over the maximum weight allowed. Experts said that visual signs of the collapse were clear days before the incident. Upon hearing this news, that this was all totally avoidable, on November the 6th, nationwide mass protests began. Crowds of more than 100,000 in number began gathering in Novi Sad's centre, calling for the arrest of those responsible for the station's failed reconstruction and demanded that the president, as well as the construction minister, resign. At 6 p.m, the huge crowd conducted a minute's silence for those who were lost, before marching towards the city centre hall. Things quickly turned violent, with protesters vandalising buildings with paint, throwing rocks, breaking windows. The entire country demanded accountability. So, shortly after, the Novi Sad Higher Public Prosecutor's Office initiated an investigation into the collapse, and more than 40 people, including Construction Minister Goran Vesic, were subjected to questioning. On the 30th of December 2024, Vesic and 12 others were formally charged over the collapse. These charges encompassed causing general danger and conducting irregular and improper construction works. Due to the immense pressure, President Milos Vukovic resigned on January 28th, as did Construction Minister Goran Vesic. To this very day, citizens continue their fight, rallying for transparency, justice, and accountability for a totally avoidable disaster that claimed the lives of 16 people.
No, I feel like on that one, we got to get more than just him resigning. He need to resign his ass to jail. Like, seriously, Bean Team, he need to do some time, and maybe some other people too. Because y'all can't be this incompetent. Like, y'all cannot tell me that y'all didn't think that this canopy was going to eventually freaking collapse, man. You can't tell me you didn't think that. I just feel like they were just being negligent. Like, that's one thing we watch a lot of times over here on Ryan Channel, y'all. Some companies that do some negligent-ish and don't give a F about people well-being. They're paying customers. You get what I'm saying? Let's go to number 2. Number 2.
This next haunting video was recorded on April the 29th, 2013 in Parwan province, around 47 kilometers north of Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan. That day, a cargo Boeing 747 operated by National Airlines had been loaded with 5 armoured military vehicles at a camp called Camp Shurabak. These vehicles totaled 80 tons of weight that were strapped in at the camp before taking off for its destination of Dubai. After leaving Camp Shurabak and flying for an hour and a half, the crew made their first scheduled refueling stop at Bagram Airfield, one of the largest US military bases in Afghanistan. Aboard the Boeing 747 were 7 crew members, experienced professionals who had completed countless flights between Afghanistan and Dubai. The captain, 34-year-old Brad Haisler, had logged over 6,000 flight hours, enough to make him one of the most seasoned pilots in cargo aviation. At approximately 3:30, after refueling at Bagram Airfield, all standard checks had been completed. The flight engineer had inspected the cargo and confirmed that the aircraft was ready, and moments later, the enormous aircraft lumbered down the runway and gained speed. Of course, everything seemed totally normal, until it wasn't. As the aircraft climbed into the air, it quickly reached 1,200 feet in height, when, in a horrifying instant, the plane's nose suddenly pitched up at an extreme angle, far steeper than any controlled ascent. The pilots, startled, had attempted to counter the anomaly, but within seconds, their worst nightmare occurred. The aircraft stalled. The moment this occurred was captured by dashcam. A ghostly...
Just looking at that airplane at that angle, going straight up like this, Bean Team, like that just looked like disaster about to happen. Like that don't look right. That don't look normal. You know what I'm saying? Like that looked like it's out of this world type ish to see an airplane. And we're not talking about a fighter jet, doing tricks in the sky. No, that is a big ass airplane that reminds you got 5 military vehicles on it right now, pouring straight up in the sky like that. Man, oh man.
Surreal sight The dashcam shows the colossal jet, one of the largest in operation, falling from the sky. On the ground, soldiers and airfield personnel watched in total shock. They saw the pilot's desperate attempt to stay airborne, but it was clear that gravity was winning. They could do nothing but watch as the Boeing 747 plunged towards Earth.
Woo.
Then, impact. The explosion was instantaneous. A fiery inferno erupted upon impact, crashing still within the perimeter of Bagram Airfield. A deafening blast shook the ground, scattering debris in all directions. Metal fragments flew through the air like bullets, hitting structures, vehicles, and nearby aircraft. Miraculously, no one on the ground had been hurt. But inside the doomed aircraft, the fate of all 7 souls aboard had been sealed. None survived. The subsequent investigation showed what happened. Analysts combed through the wreckage looking for answers, and they discovered that the cargo, the 5 military vehicles, sadly had been improperly secured. The moment the plane lifted off for the second time, the restraints failed, allowing the massive vehicles to roll backwards with immense force, smashing through the rear pressure bulkhead. The violent shift in weight had rendered the rear flight control systems useless, locking the aircraft in a catastrophic nose-up position. Those in control had no chance whatsoever to recover. Additionally, it was discovered that the aircraft was carrying more weight than it could safely handle, another fatal error. Because of these findings, several lawsuits were opened, one of which concluded years later with the jury awarding almost $115 million to the families of 3 of the deceased men on board. That day, for those who witnessed the disaster firsthand, the image of the mighty aircraft falling from the sky is now forever imprinted in their minds, and now imprinted in yours too.
It's most definitely imprinted in mine, being seen. Just that image of that plane, that big ass cargo plane being nose up in the air like that. Like, you can just tell that's one of those ones where it's true. What it is, Murphy's Law? I don't even know if it's Murphy's Law. It's some type of scientific law. What goes up must come down. Long story short, short story long. That's the Bean Team version of the law. Seriously, man. And that was just, and when you think about that, we know that them big ass military vehicles in here, and they all at the bottom of this plane while the plane looking up in the air, and that weight and that gravity go bring them down to the ground in a huge explosion. Rest in peace to the people, it was 7 of them. Rest in peace to those 7 people that died in that crash. Let's go to the last one, y'all. Numero uno. Number 1.
This next entry is a case that occurred pretty recently, but for some reason, I don't know about you guys, but I never saw it in the news, I never saw it posted on any social media. It seems to be swept completely under the rug, and I have no idea why, because it's one of the most tragic and avoidable tragedies in recent history. This entry begins on the cold winter night of January the 21st, 2025, in Kartalkaya, Bolu Province, Turkey. As the Turkish winter evening weather swept in, hundreds of guests bunkered down at the Grand Kartal Hotel, a 12-story hotel situated in the remote Kartalkaya ski resort just outside Bolu city. The Grand Kartal Hotel, built in 1998, was positioned in a remote mountainous area, so it makes sense that it was primarily used for skiing tourists. It was one of Turkey's most popular ski resorts, having over 161 rooms and 350 beds. For decades, they catered to domestic and international tourists who came to the location to ski, snowboard, and enjoy winter sports. That fateful night of January the 21st, the hotel was housing 238 guests. As it was the peak of winter and school break, the hotel was around 80 to 90% full. As guests were fast asleep in their beds, something occurred in the 4th floor kitchen that started a small fire. Believing that they had it under control, hotel management did not phone emergency services immediately, and instead ordered staff not to alert guests while they attempted to manage the situation internally. Quickly, they realized that they didn't stand a chance. Due to the wooded cladded exterior of the hotel, the flames quickly spiraled out of control and began spreading up the exterior of the hotel at a terrifying rate. According to survivors, as the fire spread, fire alarms and water sprinklers did not activate. Panicked guests began rushing out of their hotel rooms with their children to find pitch black, smoke-filled corridors. While the building did have 2 emergency exits, there were no functioning emergency exit lights to guide people to safety. The fire was first reported to emergency services at around 3:27 a.m., but according to witnesses, they say that they smelt and saw flames as early as an hour prior. The intensity of the flames prevented onlookers and guests from helping, as they were unable to get back into the building once they'd left. Those on the ground began to dial for emergency services, but as it was the dead of winter, and the fact that the hotel was in a pretty remote mountainous spot, it would be a while before they arrived. A total unimaginable nightmare unfolded as the building continued to burn. Men, women and children desperately screamed out of their windows, begging for someone to save them, but for most, rescue never came in time.
Damn. Like, if you just look at the amount of smoke that's coming from the top windows of the building, I'm talking about the very top being team, you can just see that thick black smoke coming from out of there. That just lets you know that this whole building is engulfed with smoke, man. And these little children, that was hitting me the hardest, thinking about the little kids that's in the trap, and thinking about the parents, how they feel in this situation, and just the fact that the timing of it, that it's happening at 3-something in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Most of these people was freaking sleep, and they wake up to they thought they was having a nightmare when they was asleep. Now they witnessing the nightmare in real freaking life.
Instead of trying their luck running through the corridors or waiting for firefighters to arrive, some guests began tying bedsheets together and lowered them out the windows, which actually worked pretty well. But 3 individuals were in such a panic that they leapt from their windows, only one of whom survived the fall. Several trapped victims inside made desperate pleas for help via social media as the blaze unfolded. One particularly tragic case involved a 25-year-old maid who was trapped on the 12th floor. She called her father seeking advice on what to do, and despite his desperate pleas for her to not jump, ultimately she had no choice, and she leapt out of the 12th floor window, and she was one of the victims that later succumbed to her injuries in intensive care. Now apparently, Cartauquaya has no dedicated firefighting service, so approximately 267 emergency personnel, 30 fire engines, and 28 ambulances were deployed to the scene from farther afield. By the time they arrived over an hour later, it was all but too late. The flames had already wrapped themselves around the building, completely engulfing it. Many people were already dead. Fire engines barraged the building with water from all angles and worked to save those trapped and provide aid to those injured. Due to the cliffside position of the hotel, firefighters struggled to reach guests on the other side of the building, further hampering rescue efforts.
And I just gotta say real quick, Bean Team, I was just looking at, this is just one side of this freaking hotel, man. I wasn't even thinking about that. There's a whole nother side that got all these other rooms just like this. Oh my God, a tragedy tale.
The fire was finally extinguished 12 hours later, and by then, the losses were staggering. At first, the death toll stood at 10, but shortly after, this was amended to 78 people, injuring 51 others. Most victims died from suffocation, and sadly, at least 36 of the fatalities were children. In some cases, multiple members of the same family died, with one family losing more than 10 members. I just can't even imagine that. Going on holiday with 10 of the other family members and being the only one coming back. As there was no big enough morgue nearby, bodies of the dead were piled haphazardly in the back of a refrigerator truck that was parked outside. The cause of the fire has yet to be proven 100%. However, one newspaper reported that it was due to hot oil catching fire during breakfast preparations, while others reported that the flames spread after the wrong intervention of the kitchen staff by pouring water. Another media outlet suggested that the fire originated from a wiring fault within the grill. But regardless of how it started, it was clear that this building was not fit to house anyone, let alone hundreds of guests. The shameless lack of fire safety exacerbated the scale of the fire and the number of the deaths. Many families of the dead were left wondering how this kind of building can pass safety inspections and remain open in 2025. They turned to officials who just pointed fingers at each other. Basically, long story short, just because of the location of the hotel, nobody really knew who was truly responsible for it until it was far too late. The Ministry of Tourism said that it should be Bolu City who was responsible for it, but they said the hotel was outside the city's limits and said that it was clearly the Ministry of Tourism's responsibility. Officials stated that the hotel had a recent fire certificate, but upon scrutiny, it turns out that this fire certificate was only applied to a small cafe, not the main hotel or its kitchen. So in reality, the building had no valid fire safety certificate for its entire history.
Wow.
The hotel was inspected multiple times while it was open, and these reports highlighted several serious safety concerns. One report from December 2024, just a month before the fire, conducted by Bolu's fire department at the hotel's own request, flagged 7 serious violations. A broken fire alarm system, meaning it was not possible for it to go off, no sprinklers whatsoever, despite being made a legal requirement in all buildings for public use in 2008, unsafe fire doors, missing emergency lights, and even an unapproved, difficult to reach top floor.
Like, this is just negligence on top of negligence on top of negligence. Like, they just failing on so many levels with this freaking hotel, man. Like, you can't even have freaking sprinklers in there, bro. No alarms, no nothing. Like, you ain't got no effort at all with safety in this building as far as like fire prevention and precautionary measures.
Despite these findings, nothing was done. No agency stepped in to close it or enforce these safety standards, and soon after applying for their fire safety certificate, the hotel withdrew its application on December 25th, making no fixes whatsoever and remaining open to the public. So because of jurisdictional confusion and regulatory loopholes, it allowed the hotel to stay open and keep operating despite major safety issues, right into the deadliest hotel fire in Turkey's history. So, as it often is with these kind of clips, it turns out that this was a disaster waiting to happen. Multiple red flags had been ignored over the years. It's corruption at its finest. Soon after this, 14 individuals were detained for questioning, including the hotel's owner, the hotel's architect, members of the kitchen staff, deputy mayor of the town, as well as the deputy's fire department's director. This tragedy prompted national mourning and led to intensified scrutiny on fire safety regulations all across Turkey. But, as of writing this, nobody has yet to be held accountable for this truly devastating and avoidable fire.
And that's the most disgusting part of it fucking all, Bean Team. I'm sorry I had to let the F word out on that one. That is the most disgusting part of it all, man. Nobody is held accountable for this crazy-ish. And we have lost, I think Ryan said 78 is somewhere along those lines lives. And it was over 150 people injured. Other than that, like... Let's get to the end. That was one of the worst freaking stories of just negligence and nobody being held accountable that I think we ever heard over here on Ryan Channel.
But that is the end of the video. May all those featured rest in peace. You know, I've said this in a few of my videos now, but you'd think by the 20 or something of this series that I'd be running out of clips, that I'd struggle to find tragedies that shock you to your core, but it seems that these clips keep coming, and so this series will continue. First up, we've got the mind-boggling footage of the lady who believed that she was trapped in the elevator. If she'd just turned around, she would have seen that the door was wide open. Instead, she panicked and fell 3 stories to her death. What makes this case worse is that her family knew that she'd fallen down the elevator and asked the airport to look or even check themselves, to which they refused. The fact that she may have survived the fall, I just really hope that she didn't suffer too much. Why did it take 3 days for anyone to check the elevator shaft? There's so many things that just don't make sense in this entry. Then we've got the Serbia train station canopy collapse. Holy moly. The choice not to renovate the canopy was silly and careless. Despite experts stating only a 50-year lifespan, they refused to renovate it during the remodeling due to it being a protected structure. Now this just doesn't make any sense at all. How can you protect something that only has a 50-year lifespan? Because of this oversight and judgment, 16 people who were just going about their day-to-day lost their lives in a second. Of course, we can't forget the horrifying Afghanistan plane clip. I don't think I've ever seen a plane fall like that. Just imagining what was occurring inside is haunting. All because they didn't secure just one of the heavy vehicles they were transporting. Absolutely shocking. Then we had the cardiac arrest in India. I'm always shocked at how quickly a scene can turn from totally joyous to totally tragic. Just what are the chances that his heart stopped beating in that very moment, all on camera, on their wedding anniversary, and right in front of all of their family? It's a brutal reminder that none of us know when our time is up. Then we've got the truly shocking fire in Turkey. This entire case is ridiculous. It was like a symphony of mistakes that combined to make a horrible, horrible, avoidable tragedy. Why didn't the hotel install any fire safety mechanisms? Not even sprinklers. They were open in 1999. So that means there's like 26 years of when they had no fire safety whatsoever. This was just a deadly accident waiting to happen. What makes it worse is that officials knew that they had no safety whatsoever and allowed them to stay open without any punishment or anything. It just goes to show that you never truly know that you're safe inside anywhere. It might look all good and posh on the outside, but inside, it's a death trap. How many more buildings like this exist all across the world? How many more tragedies like this need to occur for people to take safety seriously? If this occurred 20 or 30 years ago, maybe I'd be a bit more lenient, but this occurred in 2025, modern day, where everyone's obsessed with safety. It just boggles my mind. And the fact that 78 people lost their lives, with the majority of them being children, is just heartbreaking. But most importantly, what did you guys think of this one? As always, you guys know I try to read each and every comment below, so let me know your thoughts. However, just before I go, if you're into this kind of content and you want to see it uncensored, uncut, and ad-free, check out my Patreon linked in the description below. And while you're down there, you may as well smash that sub button and click that notification bell to be alerted when I release content such as this. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Man, Bean Team, I think that last one probably hit me the hardest. All these pretty much hit me on a level of just hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, just got to me. But that last one, I think the thing that hit me the hardest is the fact of the children going out that way, suffocating or inhaling all this smoke. You know what I'm saying? In their lungs and suffering and just going out in that way was just terrible. And how many of them it was. It's like it was 78 people who died, and I think Ryan said it was like 30 something that was children. They on vacation to go have fun, and that's how it ended up. Like, that's just terrible. One family had 10 people die in it. He showed a picture. It looked like it was a daddy, a mom, and like 3 kids. One of them was like a very small baby. Like, man, that is just effed up. And especially when you think about just the negligence. Like, they didn't do nothing as far as safety with this building. And it had been up for all those freaking years. Now, I ain't finna go on and on, Bean Team, because I feel like we've been here long enough. I'm gonna leave that one at that. What was the fourth one, man? Because I swear I want to talk about that one even more and more, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm not even finna go all the way into the bag like that, y'all. We gotta get up out of here, man. We got to get up out of here. The one before that, the airplane. Just seeing the nose of the airplane. Do you know how crazy it would be if you was to walk outside or just be outside or whatever, or you driving in your car and you see an airplane, like a commercial plane just in the air, it just with its nose sticking up like this, dude, you better try your best to just get out the way, even though if you really ain't gonna have no chance to get out the way. If it's gonna fall on you, it's gonna fall on you, but best believe that thing finna fall. That plane finna freaking fall, man. But in all seriousness, y'all, rest in peace to those, I think, 7 people that lost their lives. And it's so crazy just how one little slip up of not having one of those vehicles secured the right way was the reason that whole tragedy tale happened. What was the one before that, being team? The man, the heart attack, dude. That's one of those ones was like and it's just real, being team. We, no matter how healthy we think we are, we still could just drop dead or have a heart attack or a stroke or an aneurysm at any point in time. You know what I'm saying? That could be the end of our life, man. Seriously on that one. Let's see, y'all. Let's see. The freaking plank. Not the plank, the canopy that they just decided to never freaking work on ever. Just they worked on all other parts of the building, but for some reason you decided not to work on this because it was an antique or it's legendary. It's historical. Man, you better historical give this ish a better foundation for its historic value. Like, seriously, man. And that was one of those ones where 16 out of the 17 people that got caught up under it died, man. So rest in peace to them too, y'all. And the first one, the elevator. The thing that get me the most with this one, number one, is just watching the CCTV footage and seeing the lady. She just so fixated on this part of the elevator working. And if she would have just turned around just a little bit, she would have seen that the damn door was open. But no, she didn't see that. Fell, and she fell to her death, but me personally, I think that lady was still alive when she fell down there. And the audacity of the freaking hotel people to tell her family they don't know nothing about it, or they didn't really pay attention or do their due diligence to at least go check your damn cameras and see if you can see this lady on the elevator and can at least see where she went after that. You know what I'm saying? If she got off it, they would have found out, and hopefully that lady's life would have been saved. I don't know, being team. I don't freaking know. But I digress, though. I'm gonna let y'all go now. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And before you leave, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.
If you're feeling lonely today, come along and throw your cares away. We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll